Good morning. Welcome to the live this morning. It's a really pretty day here. So it looks like maybe a little bit of rain off to the south, but we're not supposed to have any in the forecast. A little bit breezy and not too hot. I think we're probably upper 70s, but pretty nice day. Put in the comments what's the weather like where you are. We are well into spring, really transitioning into summer. We typically don't have but a week or two of actual what you would call spring. We've had a unusually long spring, but it's really nice right now. So I appreciate everybody joining. We're going to talk today about knowing what to do when with your horse. I had done a video a while back where I talked about the way when you want to improve your horsemanship, there's three areas that you have to improve, and that is feel, release, and knowing what to do when. And a lot of people think feel is the hardest to develop, but I don't think that's really the hardest to develop because I can teach feel. It's not easy to teach, but I can teach feel. Release is teachable. Knowing what to do when is a lot harder. You have to take your knowledge that you have and pick from your toolbox that you have saved up to know what to do when. So let's walk her around and let's just talk about little things because it's the little things that matter. There's a saying, manage your pennies and the dollars will take care of themselves. It's that way with the horse. Manage the little things and the big things will take care of themselves. Right there, her head went that way. I gave her a little bit of touch with both legs. Little things. Ears went forward. I gave her a little touch with my left leg. Brought the shoulders out. Her ears are still forward, but her shoulders went out. There, now her ears are back. Now I want to go that way. I'm going to give her a little touch with the right leg. Managing these little things. And not every horse will excel as good as she does in staying focused and obeying these little things. That has a lot to do with the quality of horse and the level that that horse will reach. But you have to know what to do when. Right there, she kind of drifted to the right. Touch with my right leg. Ride my circle. Now, as I'm riding, I'm doing everything that you've been taught. Ride with your seat. Keep your body moving. Don't just sit like a bump on the log. But you have to communicate all these little things with the horse. Let's turn to the left in reverse. So I'm going to use the mechanical things that's been taught. A little bit of neck crane, a little bit of right leg. Now right there, when she stepped that first step, it really wasn't a very good step. So I touched again just a little bit harder. Now let's touch left leg to go this way. That's the little things. And that's the knowing what to do when that we're going to talk about. A lot of riding instruction is very mechanical. We talk a lot about what to do with your legs, what to do with your seat, what to do with your hands. And when you're really bringing your horsemanship up to a high level, riding becomes much, much less mechanical and much, much more in unison with the horse. A lot more feel goes into it and a lot more instinctual things. And those, you have to know what to do when before those things become instinctual. You see a lot of riders that do a lot of things and they do them without even thinking about it. It just happens. And that's what you want to work towards so that all these things just happen. But there's a period in between when you're riding very mechanically and between riding mechanically and riding instinctually, there's a period in between. And that's the knowing what to do when. So those mechanical things become more instinctual. So I know I'm getting kind of abstract here. If you have any questions, put them in the comments, and I'll address them. We got any viewers yet?
Oh yeah, we have Gail in Tabor City, North Carolina, beautiful in the 80s and sunny.
North Carolina, beautiful in the 80s. Great, Gail.
We have Alexander Brown in Grant
Oh wow, raining in North Dakota. And is it cold there? Is that a cold rain? What's y'all's? Is that like spring showers? I don't really know what North Dakota weather is like.
We have Maryland over Louisiana. The sun's trying to peek out and breezy at 79.
Yeah, our weather's going to be a lot like Maryland's weather. She's not that far from me.
We have Deb in Connecticut, cloudy and humid.
All right, Deb. Good hearing from you.
Angela in Scottsdale, currently 61. It's 7 a.m. Lows in the 80s today. It's mild temperatures for this late in the year.
Well, yeah, we've had mild temperatures too. Normally here we're a lot warmer, and I did some posts about the snow we had this past winter, which is very unusual. But our spring has been a lot milder, and I think of Scottsdale as being a lot hotter. But I think y'all's elevation is pretty high too, so that probably makes a difference. I don't know much about the geography of Arizona.
We have Tracy. It's great weather in Ormond Beach, Florida.
Ormond Beach, Florida. Boy, I'd love to be there right now. In fact, me and Melinda were just talking about going to Pensacola.
Um, we have Norway. Nadine is she's currently offshore on a drilling rig.
In Norway?
Nadine,
Nadine in Norway.
Holvik. I'm not sure. Norway, yes.
Yeah, Nadine in Norway. I bet that's interesting being offshore up there. I bet it's cold too.
Gail, she's in New York. She's raining. Thank goodness for indoor arenas.
Yes, definitely, Gail.
Emily is sunny and 80 in Florida. Let's see where this was. The Cats in North Dakota.
Uh-huh.
It is 55 degrees.
55 degrees and raining. That's in North Dakota. That's like our dead of winter. So I'm glad I'm not there.
We have Emily is sunny and 80 in Florida. Linda, West Walk, Alberta. Wayne, rainy, and they have high grass fire risk.
Oh, right. And rainy and what? Fire warnings?
Fire risk.
Fire
High
risk.
grass fire risk.
Oh.
It's raining here. We needed high grass fire.
I say it's raining and you need it because it's fire warnings. We don't have too much fire warnings here. We have a lot of woods around me, but and most of the woods around me is managed by either national forests, conservation forests. Uh, we have a lot of protected forests, and we actually have a lot of controlled burns around me. So we don't really have too much of an issue with wildfires here. It's nothing like out west where it gets really bad.
We have retired Air Force. Good morning, Tim. Saber's really been working this morning. Great morning here in South Mississippi.
Oh, great. Good morning, Mark.
Gail, she's in Connecticut. It's raining. Catherine, 65 in Northwest Massachusetts. Carol, 45 and sunny in Wichita, Kansas. Nadine said it's not too cold, actually quite nice and sunny offshore, maybe around 10 degrees Celsius. Working nights, but it doesn't get dark anymore here in the summer. That's where I want to live.
Yeah, that's pretty interesting. I've been far enough north where the days are longer, but I've never been so far north that it don't get dark. So, and I think 10 degrees Celsius, that works up to what about upper 40s Fahrenheit, I think, maybe around 50, lower 50s Fahrenheit. So yeah, that's nice to y'all. I'd still be cold, but the idea of it not getting dark, I would enjoy that in the summer, but I don't think I'd like that much in the winter. So that that's kind of different. So let's get back to talking about knowing what to do when. And there is no substitute for learning what to do when without saddle time. You have to have the knowledge, and you gain knowledge by all kinds of things, watching videos, going and riding with people, doing clinics, taking lessons. You're going to learn the knowledge there. But the what to do when is all on you. And when something goes on with your horse, it's you that decides, well, the horse is doing this thing, I'm going to do that thing. And that's all on you. And that's something you have to develop. I can teach you all of the tools. If the horse does this, you do that. And if this is things going on, this fixes it. If the horse is dropping a shoulder, you lift your hand. I can teach you those mechanical things. But the instinctual things that go along with the, like managing the pennies, like I was just saying, that is kind of like your progression between mechanical riding and riding in one with your horse. There is, lost my train of thought there. So as I'm walking her around, I'm using a little bit of right leg. I'm kind of riding with my seat. She's looking that way. I'm pushing with my right leg. Now let's turn towards the camera. And you can do a lot of things to develop your knowledge. And go ride with clinics, go ride with people, take lessons, have horses, spend time with your horses. That's all you collecting your knowledge. And I see a really big gap with a lot of the people that I interact with, or just a lot of people at shows, where they have a hard time taking that knowledge and applying the knowledge. And you learn the tools. It's not like going to college and just say majoring in math and learning these formulas, or majoring in history and learning these facts. You have to apply the facts. It's more like, never been to medical school, but more like what I would consider going to medical school, and you learn all about the body and you see what's going on with the body, and from that you come up with your diagnosis of what's going on. That's more what developing, knowing what to do when is like. You have to take the facts in front of you and from that deduce, well, I need to do this. And the only way to do that is to get on your horse and try things. And when you're riding your horse and you try something, that might work, it might not work. And even if it does work, that might not be the best thing to do for that horse. I just did a video talking about understanding your horse's personality. We just recorded that a couple of days ago. It's not out yet. It'll be out soon. And in that video, I talk about there's always more than one way to do things, and understanding your horse's personality helps you know which way will work best with your horse. And what I'm talking about now with knowing what to do when is taking that personality to the next steps so that you can apply this knowledge that you're learning. Because I have a lot of people that's following me, learning a lot of facts, learning a lot of really good things. But to really get to that next level, you need to start applying those things and trying things. And don't be afraid to try something and it not work. I mean, you don't want to get yourself hurt. But like with her, she's pretty good as far as an overachiever. She tries hard. I'm usually going to give her a little bit of time to think about what I'm asking for before I get hard. Now, a horse like Ryder in there, he has more of a mind like, you're going to have to make me. So I'll get a little bit harder with him and don't give him as much time to think about it. Because with him, when you give him time to think about it, that's his mind saying, I'm winning in the meantime. If you got any questions about that, put it in the comments and let's talk about it. You got some questions?
We do have questions. First, a comment about what you were just saying. Here we go. I get it's from Angela. I get what you're saying about mechanical. I increased my lessons to twice weekly, and the muscle memory was so much more evident early on. Once weekly just wasn't going to come.
Yeah, that's really a good comment, Angela. She increased her lessons from once a week to twice a week, and it really helped a lot with muscle memory. And it's almost like when you take a lesson once a week, it's good. It's better than not at all, but it's really hard to progress with that. But when you take a lesson twice a week, you're taking what you learned in the lesson and really reinforcing that in the second lesson. And to me, it's almost like triple the value. You get a value of your one lesson a week, but you take two lessons a week, and that's like triple the value of the one because of that added muscle memory, that reinforced muscle memory. Really, really good observation, Angela.
A super chat from Otto Givendam 79.
Oh, thanks for the super chat from I Don't Give a Damn.
And then we have a question. How do you deal with horse outliers that don't let you know when their attention is drifting? By the way, in East Texas, it's now summer and will be humid in the 90s today.
Okay, so yeah, you're in East Texas. You're not that far from me either. We're not going to be in the 90s, I don't think, but we're going to be in the upper 80s.
That's Hyde Tyler.
Oh yeah, that is
The one driver.
yeah, that is Basta's owner. And so, how do I deal with outliers? So read that question again.
Sure. How do you deal with those outliers that don't let you know when their attention is drifting?
Okay, how do I deal with outliers that don't let me know when their attention is drifting? So generally, that's not a problem because I am pretty constantly communicating with the horse. Like when I walk this circle, let's pick up the rein. That's one, right leg's two, another right leg, three, harder right leg and some rein. That's 4, 5. A little bit of both legs, drop forward. That's 6. A little bit of both legs again. A little bit of right rein. What's that? What am I up to? 8, 9. So, and what I'm counting here is every time that I communicated with the horse, there's right leg, both legs. So I don't. My communication is that often with the horse. It doesn't mean that it's hard. It doesn't mean that I'm pulling hard. Whoa. And it doesn't mean I'm doing anything drastic, but there's always a little bit of communication there. So really the horse never gets a chance for their attention to drift very far. Now, if I'm trail riding and just kind of relaxing my body and my mind's going to drift off and relax, the horse's mind is going to drift off and relax. I really don't do much about that. To me, that's a big part of the value of trail riding is the horse's mind gets to relax. But generally working in an arena, uh, they don't get much chance for their attention to drift off. I want that attention to stay on me all the time.
Okay, Gail, do you think that teaching makes you more aware of how to verbalize the things you do instinctively?
Do I think that teaching helps me to verbalize the things I do instinctively? Yes, definitely, very much. A lot of the things that I've talked about in all these videos, it's just stuff that I've done. And by doing these videos, I've had to think about what I was doing to begin with, and then verbalize that so you could understand. And I know there's still some things that I just do that I don't even think about that I need to try to do a better job of noticing that I'm doing and verbalizing. But a lot of them are very, very subtle. And I mean, right down to when I do eye contact, when I take eye contact away, my body posture, a lot of those things, I don't even notice it. And I've had a lot of people tell me that I'm intimidating to other people. And I think a lot of that is how I've learned to communicate with the horse. It's not that I'm really trying to be intimidating, I'm just communicating with the horse. And a lot of that stuff is instinctual. That's like I remember one time uh, I was walking across the parking lot at Lowe's, and I looked to the right and I see a truck coming, and I clucked to myself to walk faster. It just happened, and it's almost like everything that I do in life, it's almost like I do it on a horse, and that's how instinctual my horseback riding has become. It's and it's I'm really big about work time and off time because when my mind is locked in like that communicating, it's I don't know that tiresome is the right word to say, but I'm engaged all the time, and that can become tiresome. It's just like horses in the pasture; they're always engaged, and that's why on my off time I like to do stuff like just be at the beach or sit on my boat and not really have a lot of people to interact with. And I know me personally, uh, when if I go anywhere where there's a lot of people, uh, it's kind of stressful on me. And I think that's really from my posture of just physically constantly communicating with the horse. And that's just kind of all these years of horse training. I've been training probably close to 30 years. And in that 30 years, I've had anywhere between 8 to 20 horses in training pretty consistently throughout those 30 years. So I come to work, and for 30 years, that's how I've interacted with horses. And it really just kind of bled over into how I interact with people. And it's funny. Just kind of a side note to that on how my communication with horses has affected my communication with people. I remember I had a horse that I was really working really hard to work a gait with, and she was terrible at it. But we worked at it. We worked at it. We worked at it. I mean, a lot. I was determined, didn't give up, and we actually worked it so much that if I would lead her up to a gate, she would turn her body parallel to the gate, and she would not go perpendicular through a gate opening. She would go parallel. I would open the gate, and she would walk around, even when I was leading, just like if I was on her back. And we drilled it so much that in her mind, if I had her by a halter and lead rope, she responded just as if I was on her back. And and I think a lot of that just has to do with that constant communication. And a lot of that has to do with exactly what I'm talking about, bringing your riding from mechanical to instinctual communication. Got another question?
Yeah, first comment. Emily said, so it's okay to cluck to your kids to get them to move.
So Emily, so yeah, it's okay to cluck to your kids to get them to move. I think so, you might even want to get a lunge whip out after them once in a while, but that might not be too advisable. So yeah.
Dusty would like for you to explain why those cues bring the horse's mind back to you. Can they do what you are asking and pay attention to the deer in the field, for example?
Okay, yeah, Dusty. So why explain why it's important that I maintain that communication, and can they maintain that attention and maintain communication with like watch for a deer in the field? So horses have a hard time paying close attention to two things. Now, I can maintain their attention on me, and they'll be aware of what goes on over there, but they have a hard time really focusing on out there if they're focused on me. And we use that a lot in training police horses. So let's say uh, a manhole cover, for instance. If you have a horse that's really worried about a manhole cover, and you're walking past this manhole cover that's on this side, I'd be bumping with this spur on this side to keep that ear over here, so that that horse was concentrating on what I was telling and not that manhole cover. And I would get a little bit of an arc, but the arc wasn't from hiding from the manhole cover. The arc was from listening to what I was doing. And another thing that I would do a lot, let's say if we were working crowd control, we had this deal where we would basically haunches into a crowd and come at the crowd as like an oblique angle, so that you're pushing the crowd with the shoulder. And after you do that a lot, your horse will actually learn to oblique itself to bring its mind back on you, because it kind of wants to hide from the crowd. So just like giving the horse cues to keep their mind on me and them not being able to concentrate on the deer out there, if you're consistent enough with that, if that horse starts to worry about what's out there, they're going to look to you for something to distract them. Their attention is going to come to you instead of out there because they want you to tell them what to do. And that goes back to why when I'm working a spooky object, I don't let the horse's feet stand still. All part of the same mental area. Because if I'm working a spooky object, let's say the horse is scared of something over there in the corner, I'm not going to let the horse's feet get still. I'm not going to let them stop and look at that and figure out that it's okay. I want them to look to me for what do I do about that spooky object. And in the process of doing that, they start to look to me about what to do about the spooky object. And then as time goes on and we develop that rapport with that horse, anytime anything scares them, and this is why it's so important that you do it this way. Anytime anything scares them, let's say if it's a bucket now that they're scared of, and next time it's a ball, well, it's still scared, but their attention comes back to you and asks you, what your horse asks you, what am I supposed to do about this scary thing? So that's why it's really important to not just throw your horse to the wolves and let them figure out the scary thing, because you need to develop. Of people say, well, how do I bond with my horse? That's how you bond. And it's advancing, like I was saying, advancing from mechanical riding to instinctual riding. Well, your relationship with your horse will develop from the horse wanting to be in charge. From there, it develops to you saying, I'm in charge. And then from there, it develops to partnership. But you have to work through that process. A lot of people don't want to be the leader or don't want to be a leader because they feel like they're being a tyrant to their horse. But it advances past leadership into the partnership. Just like my riding her and all that communication develops into that instinctual partnership. And that's how you get these really, really nice horses. You spend that time on the horse so that the horse develops from them in charge to you in charge to partnership. Your riding develops from mechanical to knowing what to do when to instinctual. It all comes together. The instinctual happens at the same time that the partnership happens, because you develop that partnership and it all comes together at that point. You got another question?
Yeah, comment first from Mark. It seems that some horses are faster. Some horses are faster than others, not meaning intelligence, but move and respond faster, requiring the rider to be more on their game.
Yeah, really good observation, Mark. Some horses respond faster, requiring the rider to be more in their game. That's actually absolutely true. And as a general rule, the faster your horse responds, the slower you want to move, because that distance helps to bring your horse down, and y'all will end up meeting in the middle somewhere. Where the opposite, if you have a horse that's really, really kind of on the lazy side, like what I said Ryder was, and then I would get harder quicker with Ryder than what I would get with her, that's because it's the opposite problem. The horse isn't trying hard enough. The horse isn't quick enough. So I'm going to be a little bit quicker to bring that horse up so that we meet in the middle. So very, very true.
Okay, and we have a question from Sue. Do you feel that trotting circles on a loose rein is a better way to rebalance a horse that's had time off, and once they are balanced, then take up contact again?
Okay, so Sue asked, do I feel like trotting on a loose rein is a better way to develop contact or develop balance? And then once they're balanced, pick up the contact. No, actually, I believe the opposite. Trotting them collected is a better way to develop balance. And then once they develop balance, gradually give them a little bit of rein. They're going to lose their balance. They're going to lose their frame. Gather them back up, collect them back up again. And once they're correct, then get back soft again. I see a lot of people doing way too much trotting on a loose rein. The horse gets further and further on the front end, further and further inverted in the back, and that creates balance issues, and it creates a lot of other issues. Now, you see me walk her around on the very loose rein. Now, I can gather my reins up, and we can do it all collected up and rounded. I can put my right leg back, we can leg yield over, and we can go back forward again. And all of this with a very collected rein. Let's go left leg back, push her hip the other way, maintain forward. Good girl. And then she got round, she got balanced, she pushed her hip over. Then I went back to a loose rein. She has developed the muscle tone to keep herself balanced. And this goes back to what your question. When you have an out of shape horse, an out of condition horse, they really don't have the muscle tone to hold themselves balanced. So by gathering up your reins and using a lot of leg to build those muscles, it's building those muscles that actually creates the situation where the horse can hold itself in balance. And it's not until you really get those muscles that the horse is really able to keep himself in balance on their own. And that's harder with some horses than others. It came pretty easy for her. She naturally wants to carry herself pretty good to begin with, and then building more top line muscle, building more hip muscle came pretty easy to her. It's easier with some horses than others, and a lot of that has to do with bloodlines of the horse. And I see it. I hear a lot of people say, "Well, you can't ride papers," and that's true to an extent. But if the horse's dam and sire excelled in something, it doesn't really matter what. But if they excelled in something, then their mind was trainable, and their body built muscle good, it built stamina good, and was able to hold up through the training and develop into showing. Then there's a better chance that that baby of the Dyer and Sam will be able to do the same thing. So a lot of it that has to do with breeding. I'm really big on quarter horses and paints. I'm pretty good with bloodlines, and I can usually look at what's in the horse's papers with their bloodline, have a pretty good idea of their mind. And we actually, I think one of the lives, y'all gave me horse bloodlines, and I told you how that horse was going to behave, how their personality was, and it was pretty accurate. That's one of the lives we did. What, a year ago, maybe? It's been a while. That was a fun live. Another question?
Yes, from Colorful. It's a good bit. Good morning, Tim. We recently received a sad horse. The owner loaned the horse to an acquaintance to drive cattle, and when he refused to follow the path through a large pool of water, the man hit it. The guy wanted to admit it, but the horse has marks. We suspect he used a shock stick. My point is, how do you work with special horses, traumas, and acquired problems? He now jumps with anyone. He's gentle on the ground, does everything you ask, but if you put a saddle on him, he turns into a rodeo horse.
Yeah, so she's talking about a horse that was pushed too hard too quick. For the horse didn't want to do something. They tried to force the horse, and now the horse is giving issues. So basically, it all comes down to confidence, and that horse's confidence was really torn down by the way it was handled by that person. And it's a matter of rebuilding that horse's confidence. And what you're going to have to do is start with tasks that that horse can accomplish, and then build from there. And whatever that task is, to build that confidence. And it's not just the horse's confidence in the task, but it's the horse's confidence in the handler or in the rider. But you have to start with the task that the horse is comfortable with, so that the horse and the handler or rider can start developing that bond, start developing going. Right now, that horse is defensive because the previous owner just killed all the confidence. Well, now you're starting back with horse wants to be in charge. Well, the horse wants to be in charge because he's just trying to preserve himself, trying to save himself. He's not really trying to be bad. He's trying to save himself. It's just natural instinct. Well, you're going to have to find a task that you and the horse can do that you can start building that from the ground up. And it's going to take a really, really long time. It's not something that you can work 30, 60, 90 days and it be fixed. That's going to be the thing that's going to take years to build back.
Okay, Sue, the one that had the question about the trotting circles on the loose rein, she said, thanks, that's awesome to hear, as I'm keeping the contact and was worried it was wrong. I'll now do as you say and start giving her some release intermittently.
Okay, yeah, great, Sue. When you're maintaining your contact, just make sure that she's getting off the reins. Let's walk her around so I can show you what I'm talking about. So I'm going to take and shorten my reins, and I'm going to put them right here on the saddle horn. Kind of like side reins. It's the same idea as side reins. Now, it's up to this horse to find that release to the rein. Now you watch my reins; they're pretty slight. Now, if she hits the rein, she'll feel a little bit of pressure. Then she goes back and finds the release again. And it's really important that the horse breaks at the pole to that point. You might have to build to that point. But if the horse is carrying their nose out and you're maintaining contact here, then the horse is going to continue to get heavier. You have to make sure you're getting that break at the pole, and you might have to do some of the bend, counter bend exercises that I've talked about to lift the shoulder to get that process started. So exactly what that contact is like is going to determine the muscle building of the horse. And that might be something, if you're interested in a video lesson for that, you can message me and we can do a video lesson and we can talk about how much contact, how much roundness, when to release, how long to release, and how much to bring that contact back. That'd be a really good topic for a video lesson. If you're interested, you can message me.
And then we have Carly, about the reaction time. The horse I ride on usually takes a while to start the trot when I ask. I feel like the walking cancer go easily. Do you have suggestions to improve this?
Okay, so a horse that you said it takes a minute to get into the trot.
Let's see. The horse I ride usually takes a while to start the trot when I ask.
Takes a while to start the trot when she asks. So that's going to be a combination of fitness, pushing from behind, transitioning into the trot, and a little bit of mind. It's going to be hard to answer that question without really knowing more about the type of mind that horse has. Usually, if they take a minute to transition into the trot, or take a few strides to transition into the trot, normally take a few strides to transition into a lope. My guess would be either just the mind is a little bit resistant, wanting to say no to the trot, or the body really isn't quite fit enough. And you just, whichever one it is, you just work those two to get them more fit, get the mind more willing, or get the body more fit. All right, let's walk around a little bit. And we're talking about advancing your riding from knowledge to instinctual. And in order to do that, you need to take the tools that you've learned and start trying those tools out. I have lost many hours of sleep thinking about a horse is doing this. What do I need to do about it? And that's how I work through that process. If you're working through the process, there's no instruction that anybody can tell you. This is all something that you have to develop, because in developing instinctual riding, that's all you. You have to build from mechanical to instinctual. And you developing that phase of the horse is doing this, I'm going to do that. That's helping you transition from the mechanical to the instinctual. And the more you work at that mentally with yourself, then the better the instinctual riding is going to come. And that's really where you become a good rider. There's three parts to being a good rider. There's release, knowing what to do when, which is what we're talking about, and feel. Now, feel has a lot to do with how much contact I have on the reins, how much contact I have on my legs, when I'm pulling a little more, when I'm squeezing a little more. But that feel is going to develop as your instinctual riding is going to develop. That those two are going to come along together. A lot of instructors have a hard time teaching feel, where I don't think feel is that hard to teach, because I think as you're thinking through the process, well, my horse isn't going over here and I want to go over here and he's wanting to go over there, I need to pull harder. It breaks down to things that are that simple. And your feel will develop as your instinctual riding develops. But that step in the middle is knowing what to do when.
Sue said, brilliant. I think this is why she's pulling down that. So I'll fix my hands as you demonstrated and see if it helps.
Yeah, that's going to help you a lot. So a lot of people ride with contact, but they're not really helping the horse balance. They just have contact. And in the process, the horse just leans more and more on the contact. It means you have to pull harder and harder. So that should help you a lot. And it's all connected. The horse building muscle and balance is connected with you developing your riding into more instinctual. It's all one big picture. It's all one package. And you have to develop as your horse develops. Your horse develops as you develop. The horses that come to me for training, like her and the others in the barn, I'm getting those started in the right direction, just like yours, not really understanding the brake at the pole and the roundness in the back. A lot of what I do, that's what I'm doing to get the horse going in the right direction. And that's really helpful for a rider if the horse already knows. If you're trying to figure things out and your horse is trying to figure things out, it's a lot harder for you to come together. That's why, for me, I think it's really important that riders in general should be able to go ride horses above their level. I don't mean like if you're a 12-inch jumper, you need to go ride and jump 4-foot fences. I mean that you need to go ride a horse that knows how to do things to reinforce to you, yes, I am putting my leg in the correct place. Yes, I am putting the right pressure with my hands. Because if you don't know that you're doing it right and your horse doesn't know what right is, it leaves you in limbo, not really understanding it. Well, am I doing it right? Do I need to push harder, or am I doing something wrong I need to change? A lot of people get stuck there. And the best way to get yourself unstuck is to go ride horses that are above your level, that can show you, yes, you are putting your leg in the right place. That's like, that's all right. I'll answer it in a minute. So, like with her, she's really good at haunches in. But if you don't know if you're putting your leg in the right place for the haunches in, you don't know that you're asking right. But if you get on her and you put your leg where you're used to putting your leg and you get a haunches in, then it's like, I am doing it right. It's not me, it's the horse. Let's work on the horse. I think very, very often riders that aren't sure that they're doing it right, they spend too much time changing themselves when they really need to ask the horse to try a little harder. And you might not be putting it in the exactly right spot, but your horse needs to be trying to figure out what you're asking for also.
Carly, the one with the horse that had a hard time going to the trot, it's definitely a part of the fitness. He's a bit older, 22. We're building up into correct posture after he was lame.
Yeah, the horse that's having trouble going into the trot. He's 22. It's definitely fitness. It's really hard to get a horse in their 20s back fit again, but it's not impossible. It can still be done. But you're going to have to uh, just take your time with him. It's going to take longer. With an older horse, you don't really do anything very much different. You just need to break down into small baby steps and take time. And the other part of that is you need to make sure that he's getting the nutrients in his body to build those muscles so that he can develop that the muscle tone and the stamina. And that's one thing. If you have an older horse and you switch them to like a senior feed to help maintain their weight to be more digestible, that's good if the horse is at the stage where he needs that. But a senior feed doesn't always have everything in it that a performance horse would need to build muscle. So look at what you're feeding the horse and make sure that you're putting the nutrients into the horse that it needs to build that muscle. I've talked about that in a couple of videos. To build muscle, you've got to put the feed in them to build muscle. That's she's on. Oh, everything here is on a 14% protein feed. They get alfalfa cubes. They get hay, and a lot of people, in their mind, they think higher protein means more energy. The horse is going to be uncontrollable. Alfalfa, more energy. The horse is going to be uncontrollable. That's kind of the general perception of people in this part of the country. But the reality is, you need to put the feed into the horse to get what you need. Now, if you're putting a high protein feed and a bunch of alfalfa into a horse and the horse isn't being ridden, then you're going to have excess energy. You have to balance the two. You have to balance the feed in with the exercise.
Dusty would like for you to talk about your clinics, and then after that, you have a question.
Oh yeah, Dusty, great idea. So I'll be in England next weekend for a clinic. Uh, it's going to be, I don't remember the town. It's central England. I don't remember exactly what the town is. Uh, if you want more information about that, you can go to AQHA-UK. The American Quarter Horse Association of UK is the one that's bringing me over there. You can go to that website, and there's more information there. The following weekend, I'm doing a clinic in Germany, and I posted a flyer to my Facebook page, but it's been a little ways back. I'll try to get back on and post another flyer this weekend or today. That's the following weekend. After that, in June, I have a clinic coming up in Massachusetts. I'll be posting more information about that clinic when I get back from Europe, and then I'll be doing a clinic with Dusty in Seguin, Texas. Is it September, Dusty, or October? I don't remember what day we talked about. Um, Post the date in the comments so I can say the date. I don't remember what it is. That one is going to be in Texas, and Dusty and I are talking about uh, the logistics of getting that put together. And that is going to be the last of my clinics for this year. And I have a couple that we're talking to about next year. So I limit myself. I only do about 5 or 6 clinics a year because of keeping a full load of horses in training. I can't be gone. Um, I can't be gone doing 20, 30 clinics like some people do. And my clinics, they're probably going to be a good bit different. If you've been to other clinics, they're going to be a lot different than the other clinics. We focus on uh, training the horse, making the horse better. Whatever the horse needs, whatever level you and your horse are at, we're going to make you and your horse better. We'll work on leg control, hand control, so that you're riding correctly. But we really focus a lot on your interaction with your horse, your communication with your horse, so that you and your horse can advance. And it's going to be a good bit different than probably any other clinic you've been to. It's more from the point of view of a horse trainer point of view than like a clinician point of view, because basically that's like the clinic I just did in Massachusetts. Over 2 days, we covered basically my 90 to 6 month training program, depending on the horse that we were working with. Whatever my program for the 6 months, I applied whatever part the horse needed, whatever I applied that stuff to the different horses in the clinic. And teaching you how to bring your horse along, whether it's a green horse that's just under saddle, or if you have a horse that you're showing and competing on, I can help you with any step through that process. October 10th and 12th. Thank you, Dusty. So the one in Texas is October 10th and 12th, and I'll be talking with Dusty about the logistics of getting that all put together, and I'll be posting information on it. That's probably going to be my only clinic this fall, and it's probably going to be my only clinic that direction in the U.S. So if you want to come to one of the clinics, that's going to be probably your best bet if you're in the Western U.S. And I hear people say, "Well, I wish the clinic was closer. Can you come to this state? Can you come to that state?" I had a clinic last year in Massachusetts, and one of my auditors actually flew in from Hawaii to audit the clinic. So I have a lot of people come in from a long ways, from quite a few hours for the clinics, because I just don't do many of them. The Tennessee person isn't contacting me back. I don't think that one's going to happen. I wish it did. Um, that was going to be a really good clinic, but it don't seem like that clinic's coming together. The way I do clinics is whatever person is in that part of the country that wants to put on the clinic, then they're the ones that do the legwork there to secure the arena, because they know the arena's in the area. They know the riders in the area. So they're the ones that will talk with the riders about the topic of the clinic, and they will generally, me and them will talk about putting together the clinic format. And then I contract with whoever's in that area on what my expenses are, and then they set the clinic fee. And that way, usually, for their time, they can usually either make some money or ride in the clinic for free, or sometimes some of both. I do clinics some. There was a therapeutic riding center in Louisiana that it's since closed down, but that was one of their major fundraisers every year, was bringing me in to do clinics. So that's kind of how clinics work, and with because of different people in different areas. Like I said, the AQHA UK is the one bringing me over there. They're the ones that you actually book the clinic through, and it's the same way with the other clinics in other parts of the country.
All right, question from Alexis. Hey Tim, I am a very green rider who just got my first horse a month ago. He is cinchy and has bit just when I touch him. How do I handle this? He's very pushy. Your videos has helped me so much with his ground manners. I was told he's beginner friendly before buying, but he definitely is not.
Okay, Alexis, there could be quite a few things going on with your horse. He's cinchy, pushy on the ground, and you said you've only been riding for a few months. Probably, I mean, you want to make sure he doesn't have stomach ulcers to rule out the cinchy. But very, very often, even though they say he's beginner friendly and you say he's not beginner friendly, a really good beginner horse is a horse that inspires you to learn. And a lot of these behaviors that he's doing, he's telling you, you need to learn to do better at this thing. And just like watching my videos or interacting and asking questions here, you are he's pushing you to be a better horseman. Where if you have a horse that just acts like it has three legs in the ground and never does anything except for what it's told, that horse is really not going to push you to be a better horseman. So, and it could be that he's not as beginner friendly as what they said, but what you are describing is the kind of horse that I usually pick out for my beginner riders, because it tells them, hey, you need to be better at this thing. That's like the cinchy thing. You say it's cinchy. Well, you might not be cinching him up correctly. It might be too fast, might not be too fast. That's why I said you need to rule out the stomach ulcers. So he might have some issues and not be as beginner friendly, but he also might be telling you that you need to be better at this thing. So just on your question, it's kind of hard to say do this particular thing. There might be for you some video lessons might be really good, so that we can talk about what he's doing and what you're doing and bring the two together. So I don't know if you're working with an instructor where you are or not. If you're not, I suggest you either find an instructor close to you to help you with some of these things, or we do some video lessons, because some of that might be him, some of that might be you, some of that might be both of you just needing to work together better.
Since he bit her, because he's bitter for touching, should you say something about the importance of no, like hand feeding?
Yeah, he bit you, so I definitely would not be feeding him any treats. I don't know if you're feeding horse treats or not, but I definitely would not be feeding him any treats. I definitely would not be letting him get his face around you. And a lot of that is the very beginning of setting those boundaries to help set you up for being the leader, like what we talked about a little bit ago. A horse goes through the phase of the horse is in charge to you're in charge to now we're a partnership. And right now, the horse is wanting to be in charge. And like I said earlier, the horse wanting to be in charge is on the same level of you being mechanical. And the level of you being in charge is on the same level of you, the horse is doing this, so you do that. That's the horse progressing, that's you progressing. And then when you and the horse are a partner, then your riding is more in unison, more instinctual. So that's the progression of the horse. That's the progression of the rider. So there's a lot of things going on there that I would suggest you either work with somebody there to get some lessons or do some video lessons with me. Either way.
And that's all the questions. We're at 56 minutes. We also need to mention about the next 2 weeks.
Okay, yeah. So next week I'm going to be in the UK for that clinic next Thursday. The following Thursday I'll be in Germany for that clinic. I am planning on doing something for those lives on those 2 weeks. I'm going to try to. That's like next Thursday, I'm going to be on the train from London to the facility where the clinic is going to be. 9 o'clock a.m. here is 3 p.m. there. So if I'm able to do the live, I'm going to try to keep it at the same time. So it's going to be a little bit different format, and I'm not sure where I'm going to be through that process of the day, but I'm planning on doing something for the next 2 lives. It's not going to be here at my place. My plan, my picture is to be at the facility where the clinic is going to be, talking about the clinic and talking about the process of me going over there to do the clinics, talking about the format for the clinics, the things we're going to work on, that kind of thing. So I'm still planning on doing the lives, but they're going to be a little bit different. So I hope you join me for those. I'm really excited about going over there and doing those clinics and interacting with you while I'm over there and talking about how that goes and what goes on. Anything else I need to address before
No,
we close?
Angela's probably going to contact you about, Alexis, about video.
Okay, sounds good. Sounds good, Alexis. I appreciate it. I think that'll be really beneficial to you. So we'll go ahead and close out this live for today. This is Sunita that I'm on. I don't think I said her name in the beginning. We'll be showing her this weekend along with Ryder and Nighthawk. And I'll let you know how that goes. And Raven will be showing Bug. And we'll talk about how that went. And I'll try to post some videos from the show. Until next time, thank you for watching.